So since we are all limited in the time that we have, I must right away say that I was very interested in the analysis that the Honorable Attorney General made of the case before the Privy Council, the case of Maharaj versus the Cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, that was heard on the 15th of March 2023, judgment delivered on the 18th of May 2023. I have also listened to the Honourable Minister Doriau, who spoke about the bill and why she believed it was a good proposal, but I failed to understand her explanation as regards the explanatory memorandum. Because the fact remains is that when I look at the bill of 2015, which is the Local Government Amendment Bill that was brought to Parliament on the 3rd of April 2015 by the then Minister of Local Government, now Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Local Government, there was indeed an explanatory memorandum that was very detailed. And when I saw that particular bill back in 2015, it was clear in my mind and in the mind and one and all that what government in 2015 was trying to do was to bring, if I may put it that way, a fixed term mandate before the municipal councils. A fixed term that automatically died with the end of the life of the municipal council after the 6 years. So what was inbuilt in that particular piece of legislation back in 2015 was what the Honourable Minister had said in his speech. It was grassroots democracy was being encouraged. He said that democracy was being consolidated for many reasons, but one of the reasons that the Honourable Minister had put forward was precisely the novelty of having a fixed term for councillors who were elected, and at the end of this term, there would no longer be a council. Therefore, all governments would have been obliged to call for municipal elections. That was the novelty back in 2015. And the explanatory memorandum ran over more than one page with 2 paragraphs that went from 2A to 2I, which is what an explanatory memorandum is all about. Whereas in 2023, the explanatory memorandum is only 4 lines. And it basically says that the object of the bill is to amend the bill. It does not say what is the purpose of the amendment. And therefore, I put the question to the Honourable mover of this bill, the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, and I'd like to ask him, why is it that the explanatory memorandum does not contain the explanations that should normally be found in an explanatory memorandum? Because at some point in time, let us say for a minute that this matter really does end up before the Supreme Court and the Privy Council. One of the things that the judges of the Supreme Court and the law lords will look at is the object of the bill. The only time that the opposition and the country at large has come to find out that government intends to go for a revamping of our local government system and the laws, the first time we ever heard about it was on Saturday, when not the Minister of Local Government comes to television and says so, but it is the Minister of Arts and Culture. That's the first time. And before that, never did government ever speak of the necessity, the need, ever since elections of 2019, to amend the law. How come all of a sudden, on the eve of the natural death of the municipal councils, it is only then and not before that there is this reason that is put forward? I say it is not a reason, it is not a justification, but those are lame excuses. And that is the reason to explain the absence of any explanation in the bill. Had there been an explanation, there would have been it mentioned in the explanatory memorandum. It is only because there is no explanation that there isn't one in the explanatory memorandum. But when I listened to the Honourable Minister of Arts and Culture at the press conference on Saturday explaining the reasons that would justify the postponement of elections, it's then that he chooses his words very carefully. And therein lies the evidence that government is looking for lame excuses. He does not say that we have set up committees, we have studied the law, we have started the drafting proposals, those are the members of the committee, this is the person who chairs the committee. No, he does not say that. The reason he does not say that is because there is no such committee. But the words he uses, and I say it again, he uses his words very carefully. He says, time has come for us to start thinking about a new model. So therefore, we haven't done it yet. We will start thinking. So government has decided to come to Parliament today without even having set up a committee, without even having had a first meeting of any committee, without having had a single iota of consultations, without even having put pen to paper to make any proposal, but having to find excuses in order to justify the request for postponement. This is the first thing that I would like to point out. The second issue is this part of the speech of the Honourable Attorney General, which I found very interesting as a colleague lawyer. But let me say that there are a lot of elements within that speech that lead me to believe that there are paragraphs of the judgment that he should place on record for posterity. Because the time has come today for us to decide not whether, as I've heard Honourable Lejonga say, you have done that before, then Honourable Dhanalingam says, but you also did it then. And then we will say, well, we also did it. Okay, we've all done it. Therefore, when I heard Honorable Doya Ujiwa, she says, all of us have done it. But if this is the case, what I'd like to say here is that we have to pause for a minute and really listen to what we're saying. Can you imagine the population outside listening to us today at 21:36 hours? On this Tuesday, they have listened to us, the MSM, saying we are entitled to ask for a postponement because this is what the plan is. We are not going to show you the plan. We have not put pen to paper, but this is what the plan is. We're going to start thinking. So it's justified. Then we heard other members, such as myself. We can say, well, in 2010, when we asked for a postponement of the elections, the fact is that there was indeed a law being prepared. Not we were going to think about it, it had already been, the preparation had started. And let's not forget, in those days, when everything had started, before the alliance with the MSM, between the MSM and the Labour Party, it had started under late David, who was then Minister of Local Government, James Bertie David. So we had already started putting pen to paper, the draft bill had already been prepared, and it is only then when there was a disparity between two existing legislations, 1989 Local Government Act, 2003 Local Government Act, two legislations, Local Government Act, two different dates, two legislations, both having force of law. That was the state of affairs in 2010. So that is the reason why there was a request for postponement. But that does not mean, in my view, that it was justified. I learn with experience. Normally, people with age learn from experience. We progress and we do not regress. So it is not because the MMM has done it, or the MSM has done it, or the PMSD has done it. Honorable Salim Abbas Mahmoud takes us back to 1972 and he's proud of it. 1972, I was 4 years old. I had stopped wearing diapers. Can you imagine? Am I really bothered with what happened in 1972 when the problems we're facing 2023? Now, 2023, now, this is what's happening. What's happening today is that all of us, we are tapping each other on the backs, and I'm not here giving lessons. I'm just speaking facts. I'm not here trying to say that I know better than anyone. If it comes out like that, my speech, I apologize. I'm just saying that all of us, we are tapping ourselves on the back, saying, let us be happy, let us not feel bad, because all of us have done it in the past. And the people out there, they are the victims, the electorate. Victims of the Labour Party, for whatever reason. Victims of the MSM, for whatever reason. Victims of the MMM, for whatever reason, and the PMSD, for whatever reason. And we expect the people to have confidence in la classe politicienne after what we're having this beautiful sharing of responsibility. Joint liability for something wrong. Taking away the right to vote. If you say that the Labour Party did it in 1972 and it was wrong, fair enough. Fair enough. You are entitled to your views. But why is it that you believe you're right today? If I was wrong in 72, you are wrong today for the same reason. You cannot be that I was right in 72 and you are wrong today. If you are wrong today, I was also wrong in 72. That's truth. So that is the second point. And the third point I'd like to raise is the following. When I read the judgment of the law lords of the Privy Council, there are certain paragraphs that I've taken. I've seen it so important that I've translated it into French. Allow me to say that. We all agree with what the law lords say. And I read paragraph 32, Mr. Speaker, sir. Les droits conférés par un système de gouvernement démocratique ne sont pas seulement des droits individuels dont jouit chaque personne habilitée à voter, c'est aussi le droit de tous les membres de la communauté concernée d'être gouvernés par des représentants choisis démocratiquement, qu'ils aient ou non individuellement le droit de voter ou qu'ils aient exercé ce droit. Une société démocratique engagera nécessairement d'autres droits, la liberté d'expression et d'association. When the Privy Council talks about the freedom of association, that is under section 13 of our constitution. It does not mean that it is a standalone right. It means that it comes with the right to vote. This is what the Privy Council did not address because it relied on another point. Let me conclude by saying the last thing that I found in this particular piece of legislation. This piece of legislation has made me realize that the people out there listening to us, young and old, professionals, workers in the fields, workers in industries, artisans comme et pêcheurs, and from all walks of life, looking at us today, they are not happy at all. Because when I read what Honorable Lejonga said back in 2010, quand nous avons vu que pendant ces 5 dernières années, il y a une centralisation de l'administration au niveau des collectivités. On a décrié tout cela pendant tout ce temps-là. That's what's happening today. And he says, nous disons non, Monsieur le Président, à cela. Nous disons non parce que, pour nous, la démocratie régionale doit être quelque chose de vivant. Les conseillers doivent pouvoir fonctionner correctement. And he says, je vais terminer mon discours tout en soulignant que nous sommes totalement contre le renvoi de ces élections. Today, he says exactly the contrary. An honorable Deputy Prime Minister who made his speech in 2010, what did he say? He said, Monsieur le Président, ce pays n'appartient pas au gouvernement du jour. La démocratie n'est jamais la propriété du gouvernement du jour, mais le gouvernement lui est redevable. Donc ce gouvernement n'a pas le droit moral aujourd'hui de reporter ces élections. Alors, dernière remarque, la demande de l'opposition au gouvernement, malgré les ricanements de certains, c'est que l'on rende au peuple ce que lui est dû moralement, le droit de décider démocratiquement de qui, selon le peuple, devrait gérer les municipalités. Why is it that the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister said this then? le droit moralement de décider, mais aujourd'hui, the Deputy Prime Minister is on the list of orators, and he's going to say exactly the contrary. So that's my point. Each one of us, we make speeches, and the Prime Minister is right when he says that people make speeches in the opposition and in government they say something else. Your neighbor sitting next to you does the same thing. You did the same thing for Metro Léger. Honorable Zonga, we all did it. So maybe what we should do is that we should all call for general elections and let the people decide. Thank you.